Short, simple sentences can be effective, but using only short, simple sentences can make your writing choppy. One way to vary sentence length is to combine two or more sentences. There are 4 correct ways to combine sentences. The first way is to use a comma and a coordinating conjunction, and those include words like and, but, and so. The second way is to use a semicolon alone. The third way is to use a semicolon and a conjunctive adverb followed by a comma. Conjunctive adverbs are words like however and nevertheless. Sometimes we think of them as transitional words. The fourth way is to make one of the clauses dependent or subordinate to the other by using a subordinating conjunction, and these include words like because, although, and if. The error that occurs when sentences are combined incorrectly is called a run-on. Lots of times a run-on occurs when there's no punctuation in between the two complete sentences. A specific type of run-on is a comma splice, which is an error that occurs when two sentences are joined by only a comma, which is not strong enough to do the job alone. Here are 2 important things to remember when joining sentences. First, a complete sentence is any group of words with a subject and a verb that makes sense on its own, even if it's short. Second, a very long sentence is not a run-on if it's punctuated correctly. Here are 2 incorrect sentences and 4 ways to correct them. We'll start with a run-on. My heart trusts in God and I am at peace. Even though this is actually quite a short sentence, in formal academic writing, this would be considered a run-on because it has only a coordinating conjunction combining the 2. We don't have a comma. Secondly, we have a comma splice here, which is the opposite problem. We have no coordinating conjunction and only a comma. And as I mentioned before, a comma alone is not strong enough to do this job by itself. So here are 4 ways that we can correct this. Some of these are more natural sounding and better than the others, but all of them are grammatically correct. So first, we can combine those 2 mistaken sentences by including both a comma and a coordinating conjunction. Secondly, we can get rid of the comma and the coordinating conjunction and have just a semicolon in between the 2 clauses. Third, we can show more of a relationship between them by including a conjunctive adverb. So my heart trusts in God, semicolon, furthermore, which is a conjunctive adverb, comma, I am at peace. And then finally, in this case, we can show even more of a relationship between them by making this clause subordinate or dependent or less important than the other by saying, because my heart trusts in God, I am at peace. And usually we would put a comma after that first clause. Let's practice with some other types of sentences. First of all, we have a comma splice here. We have 2 independent clauses and they're joined together with only a comma. I can't believe it, comma. My boyfriend is so rude. We can fix this very easily by changing the comma to a semicolon, which is strong enough on its own to join the 2. Secondly, here, going back to 2008, we have 2 sentences here that both start out with the same word. They're both kind of short, and that makes it sound very choppy. So we might show the relationship between them by using a subordinating conjunction. We'll make the second clause dependent on the first clause. So David Cook is the new American Idol, comma, whereas David Archuleta is not. Third, this might look correct, but technically in formal academic writing, this is a run-on because we have 2 complete sentences here and they're joined only with a coordinating conjunction. To correct that, all we would need to do would be to add a comma. Here again, we have 2 sentences that both start out with the same word. That makes it kind of choppy, and we don't see what the relationship between the 2 sentences is. So in this case, I would add a semicolon and the word however to show that there's kind of a contrast between the 2. He has lived in Lynchburg his entire life, semicolon, however, don't forget the comma, he has never been to the Lynchburg Museum. And then finally, we have a sentence here that is pretty long, but actually, as I'll show you here, this is only one independent clause. This is actually correctly punctuated because we have just one subject to this sentence, people. The people are doing all of the action in this sentence. Now, there are 2 verbs. The people came down and the people brought me spaghetti and apple pie. But because there's only one subject, this is only one complete sentence. This part here in the middle is a dependent clause. It's just giving more information about the subject. So the people came down and brought me spaghetti and apple pie. This is punctuated correctly. The only 2 commas we need in this sentence are the commas around this dependent clause. We don't need to add any semicolons or any additional words to this sentence. If you'd like more information about combining sentences, you can visit the Writing Resources page of the Center for Writing and Languages at liberty.edu/CWL. At that site, you can also make an appointment with one of our residential or online centers for some more personalized help with combining sentences.